Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Good to have you with us here for online math. So, today we're going to be taking some notes. Your notes are on mixed numbers and improper fractions. So by now I hope you have kind of read through that page 199 to page 201 in your textbook. You've made some of your own notes. Now I'd like you to kind of copy down and go through with me our notes here today. So first off, you're going to be given a mixed number. Your mixed number might be something like 1 whole and 1/4. With that mixed number, you should be able to turn it to a improper fraction. And we have talked about this earlier this year, so yes, for some of you this might be review. So there are two different ways of doing this. The first way that makes a lot of sense because we are so good at adding fractions now is taking, okay, well 1 whole is really 4 out of 4. So 1 whole is 4 out of 4 plus my 1 out of 4, what I haven't touched yet, plus my 1/4. And because these are a common denominator, it makes this easier. Carry over your denominator being 4. Add your numerators. 4 plus 1 is 5. So method number 1 is to change your whole number to a fraction. So we've done that here. Our mixed number, which was 1 and 1/4, changes to 5 over 4, our improper fraction of 5 over 4. Okay, so there's the first way of doing it. I'll leave that there for a second so you can kind of take that down. Please jot down those notes. You can also pause the video if you need a little bit extra time. Okay, the second way. This way is kind of the way we've talked about before. It's usually a little bit quicker. We're going to take our whole number, we're going to multiply it by our denominator, and then we're going to take our top number and add that. So what we are doing is we are creating a numerator. We are creating a top number. So to do that, take your whole number, multiply it by your bottom, and add your top. So 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So my numerator is 5. My denominator stays the same as 4. See how doing it that way, the second way, we still got the same thing from a mixed number to an improper fraction being 5 over 4. Okay. So there's method number 2. The other thing that you could do, or you might have to do, so you might be asked to do, is change this improper fraction back to a mixed number. And to do that, it's fairly straightforward. We would take a look at our fraction 5 over 4. We would say to ourselves, how many times does 4 go into 5 without going over, without being too many? So 4 can fit into 5 one time without going over. So it goes in 1 whole time, 1 full time without going over. And what's left over between 4 and 5? Well, left over we would have 1. And our denominator always stays the same as 4. So we are back to 1 and 1/4. Okay. Okay, now, what I would like us to do is look at that first question in our textbook on page 199. It's in your notes section. So the first thing it says to kind of explore. It wants you to explore some of these different methods in trying a question. So the question says, you have 1 1/3 of all-purpose flour. So this is on page 199 if you are kind of lost where we're at right now. So on page 199, the question calls for 1 1/3 of all-purpose flour. We're going to do this in black because I think it's a little bit easier to see. So you have your 1 whole and 1, don't like that, move it over here. So 1 whole and 1/3 of all-purpose flour. So what it's asking you to do then is add your 5/6 cups of whole wheat flour. Because it's asking you how much you have in total. So you have 1 1/3 of all-purpose, you have 5/6 cup of whole wheat. It wants to know how much flour do you have total. So to this, we are going to add our 5/6 cups of whole wheat. So give you a second, jot that down in your notes. It's kind of our example question together today. So first thing you need to do is, well, this is your mixed number right here. This is your regular fraction we're adding to a mixed number. I'm going to show you one method you may choose to do this. One thing that's kind of easiest to think about is that, okay, we already have a whole, so let's just kind of separate this. I'm going to move the 1 kind of over to here to the side. I'm going to pretend it's kind of on the side of the question, and all I'm going to do, so I'll leave it over here, I'll remember it for later, I'm going to add together my two fractions, and we've done this before. So first step, find your common denominator, create your new fractions. So 3 multiple of 3, 3, 6, well, there's our common denominator. So to get from 3 to 6, I times it by 2, I have to times my top by 2. So my new fraction becomes, 1 times 2 is 2, my common denominator of 6. Over here, do I have to change anything? No, it's already at a 6. Denominator 6, numerator 5. Adding these two together, 2 over 6 plus 5 over 6 equals, well, just add your numerators. 2 plus 5 is 7. Denominator slides over is 6. What do I need to do now? Well, this goes back to what we were just watching before. I now have 7 over 6. I need to change that to a mixed number. So how many times does 6 go into 7 without going over? Well, it goes in 1 full time. What's left over? 1 out of, keep your denominator the same, 6. Because 6 went into 7 1 whole time without going over. And between 6 and 7, there is 1 number left over, so that goes where your numerator is, and 6. But that is not quite our answer, and why is that? Go back to the 1. We cannot forget about we had 1 whole number at the start as well. So now the easy part to this is we have 1 and 1, 6. We just need to add 1 whole back to it. So this 1 plus 1 becomes a 2. We brought our 1 from over here over to this question. We now have 2 wholes and 1 6. So if I take 1 1/3 all-purpose flour and I add it to 5/6 a cup of all-purpose flour, how much flour will I have in total at the very end? I will have 2 full cups and 1/6 of a cup. Okay, so that is one way that you could do this question. Another way, another method in your notes. And remember, at any time, if I'm going too fast, you can pause the video and you can kind of write these things down. That's the kind of nice thing about these videos. A second way of doing this question. We'll pretend that we left 1 in the question. We didn't separate it this time at the start. What did we just do before? Well, we converted these to a improper fraction, and you could do that here as well. So let's do this. 1 times 3 plus 1. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Over, keep our denominator the same, 3. So you can add your improper fraction to your regular fraction of 5 over 6. I'll pause there. Now we're just adding fractions again. So on the bottom, we need to find a common denominator, 3, 6. So times this by 2 to get to 6. We have to times the top by 2. 4 times 2 is 8 over 6 plus, this fraction change? No, it did not. 5 over 6. Now, just like you've done back when we were in class with adding fractions, add your numerators. 8 plus 5 is 13. Carry over your denominator of 6. Bring it on over. Your answer there as a improper fraction is 13 over 6. Could I change that to a mixed number? Sure I could. So if 6 goes into 13 how many times? Well, it goes in 1 full time. 6 goes into 13, sorry, my bad, 6 goes into 13 2 full times. 6, 12, without going over, it goes in twice. What's left over between 12 and 13? Well, we have 1 left over. Keep our denominator the same as 6. So looking back at this again, we went from here to our now mixed number. So we went from an improper fraction to a mixed number by saying 6 goes into 13 2 times without going over. Well, 6, 12, what's left over between 12 and 13? 1. Keep your denominator the same as 6. Does that answer look the same as what we just did? I hope so. I hope it looks the same as if we were to separate that one at the start. So there's more than one way of doing this, and that's why this section is kind of called Explore. I hope these notes helped. I hope you took them down. We'll do some practice questions on them tomorrow. And that's your math for today. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.